Hey, Shalom Markin. This is Vakar Makapash from GMS London, giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Chachadash. Want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and Shalom out there to the hopeful elect, preaching his truth and all sincerity. Back again with another video. I'm going to entitle this one, He Don't Need You No More. Right? And so I've got this article here from NBC, and Mr. Gates here speaking once again, on these talking heads, right? These talking puppets that they got out there. He's basically saying, within 10 years, these elites, they don't need you to, work for them or operate in their system, because the advancements in technology, in robotics and in AI, right, that there's got to be like hardly any need for you, pretty much, right? The majority of people are useless to the elites, right? They've made their money. They don't need you to work in, services anymore, you know, and they're ready to get ready to cut you off, right? Cut you off. They don't need you anymore, right? And you're either gonna bow down to them, or you're gonna get literally cut off, right, out of the system. Okay, so it's just a matter of time, man. They're looking to flip the switch on this place, man. And say the technology is moving at a fast pace, right? The MLTB is fast approaching, and when he saw sets up this new kingdom, it's not gonna be for everybody. It's not gonna be for everybody, man, because you don't have no place in it. Yeah, all your jobs are gonna be taken away that are of any worth, right? And you're literally gonna be living at the behest of the elites, man. Given whatever they decide to give you, right? If you decide that you live under their regime, right? If you don't, well, guess what? We don't need you anyway, and then them just delete you from the planet, right? So let's get into this quickly. Although this is not, this won't be a long video. But yeah, it says here, Mr. Gates, within 10 years, AI will replace many doctors and teachers. Humans won't be needed for most things, right? And so the elites already look at you like a drain on resources anyway. So once they got you replaced, with these particular types of jobs, that don't require you no more, what do they need you for? What do they need us for? If they got everything running automatically, through the AI. Where's your place in the world? What are you supposed to do? How are you meant to live? What do you get to enjoy? Well, the answer is, ask the WF. You will own nothing. You will own nothing, right? And quote unquote be happy, which we all know that's a lie, right? Like there's still some space for you, because they're gonna hook you up with a universal basic income. You're all gonna get paid benefits and whatever. But you check out the benefit system now, man. It's bullshit. This benefit system is not really gonna benefit anybody, right? You're gonna be living on a low level, right? Don't think that these men are gonna provide everything for you, all your needs and desires. The government's gonna provide for you. Obviously that's not gonna happen. Everything that's not gonna happen, man. They're sick and tired of supplying for you anyway, right? So you ain't gonna be living on any type of level. Okay, you're gonna be on the low level. Okay, if you're even allowed to be in these new system. But anyway, it says here, over the next decade, advances in artificial intelligence will mean that most humans will no longer be needed for most things in the world, says Mr. Gates. That's what the co-founder, blah, 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 of Microsoft, this is on Jimmy Fallon show, tonight's show, right? So at the moment, expertise remains rare, right? So only experts are really required right now, or going to be required, right? Because we're going to have to, someone maintain certain equipment and stuff, right? But even in time, that'll get replaced, right? Because at the moment, expertise remains rare, Mr. Gates explains. Says, pointing to human specialists, we still rely on in many fields, including a great doctor or a great teacher. But with AI over the next decade, that will become free, commonplace, great medical advice, great tutoring, Gates said. In other words, the world is entering a new era of what Gates called free intelligence. In an interview last month with Harvard University professor and happiness expert Arthur Brooks, the result will be rapid advances in AI-powered technologies that are accessible and touch nearly every aspect of our lives, Gates said. From improved medicines and diagnosis to widely available AI tutors and virtual assistants. It's very profound and even little bit scary because it's happening very quickly and there is no upper bound, Gates told Brooks. The debate over how exactly most humans will fit into this AI-powered future is ongoing. Okay, well, we already outlined to you what it's going to be, what these elites are planning on doing. Right now, you can believe us or don't believe us, man, but just know you better start thinking hard when Esau comes out with these C hips, these implantable devices for you to put inside you. Right? You better be thinking of these prophecies in these scriptures, right? And if you believe in these scriptures, man, you know you're gonna know what to do. You know, some experts say AI will help humans work more efficiently, right, rather than replacing them altogether. No, Esau doesn't want you around, man. He wants a minimum numbers. He wants minimum numbers on the job, on the planet. Okay, that's what the whole Georgia Gaia song was about. Maintaining one of the tenets, one of the commandments was to maintain the world's population or human population to what was it, 500 million? Yeah, right? Maintaining her Earth's population under 500 million. That's one of the tenets. Okay, before it got knocked down, taken away, destroyed, or whatever. Right? That is in the minds of these elites. They don't want people on the planet draining resources. He himself will tell you that there's too many people, and that we're causing, all our carbon emissions is affecting the planet, and so we need to get these numbers down. He said all of this, right? So the idea of these elites, using AI to help the average man, a woman, a child, or whatever, is BS, right? And you say all you gotta do is watch their movies, right? You watch their movies, man. Their man are sitting on Elysium. You're out here, digging up rocks or whatever the fuck those men were doing. They man were enjoying life. Okay, they were being ruled and managed by robots, right? While they were eating steak. All the good things that you can't, or they're trying to dissuade you from eating. You're gonna have synthetic meats. You're gonna have maggot milk. You're gonna have all these great things, right? While they're sitting on eating the real thing. With no restrictions. Okay, you're gonna have a bunch of restrictions though. Everything's gonna be rationed to you. Your portion, your recommended allowances, and all this stuff, right? So to believe this is gonna be used to help mankind, it's only gonna help the elite. It ain't gonna help mankind. All right, but anyway, back here. It says AI. The result will be rapid advances in. Wait a second. Gates has said from. I've read all that part already. All right, it says some experts say AI will help humans work more efficiently rather than replacing them altogether and spur economic growth that leads to more jobs being created. Others like Microsoft AI CEO Mustafa Suleyman counter that continued technological advancements over the next several years will change what most jobs look like across nearly every industry and have a hugely destabilizing impact on the workforce, which is happening. That's why people getting sacked. More and more people losing their job because they're surplus to requirements. They don't need them anymore. They got a machine that can do like 100 people's jobs or whatever. We got AI that can do 100 people's jobs or whatever, man. And so they're just getting released. Getting terminated, severance. Why they're getting replaced by machines, man. Like Amazon. Hey, what employees Amazon got? Most of their warehouses, it's full of machines. These new Chinese car manufacturing plants, there's not a fucking human inside. It's just all robots, man. The odd technician here and there, but it's assembled by robots. That's the future because it's cheaper over long term. There is no space. There's no place for you or humans in Esau's corporate capitalist world. There's no place for you because you're expensive. You're expensive, man. You want higher salaries all the damn time, because you keep complaining that the food prices going up and you can't afford food. You keep complaining, and they go put your wages up. They're tired of it. they're tired of asking for more. If you asking more, they're giving you more than they want to give you already. They don't care if you can't afford your groceries, right? They're tired of it. Robots don't complain. Robots don't ask for pay rises. Robots ain't gonna worry about putting food in the fridge. All right, so they don't hear no problems. Just someone with some oil, you know what I'm saying, or some code or something. That's all they need, right? So these tools will only temporarily augment human intelligence. Cinnamon wrote in this book, The Coming Wave, which was published in 2023. They will make us smarter and more efficient for a time, and will unlock enormous amount of economic growth. But they are fundamentally labor replacing. Correct, right? That's exactly what they are. Of course, Gates is optimistic about the overall benefits AI can provide to humanity, like breakthrough treatments for deadly diseases. Here we go. Innovative solutions for climate change. Here we go. All the things that he's pushing, right? And high quality education for everybody. All right. Talking to Fallon, Gates reaffirmed that he's believed that certain types of jobs will likely never be replaced by AI. Yeah, the ones that elites, hold, gatekeep. Knowing that people probably don't want to see machines playing baseball, for example. Oh yeah, because that's a job. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for very few specialized people that can, that get into baseball. Yeah, I guess it is a job for them, but it's entertainment, right? It's not something that benefits society ultimately. It's just a distraction, you know. Doesn't provide anything for the world, There will be some things we reserve for ourselves, but in terms of making things and moving things and growing food over time, those will be basically solve problems, right? And so it's all right for these guys that are mega rich. They ain't gonna worry about being put out of a job. They got money. They ain't gonna worry about work. They don't need to work. They got money. They can sit on money, right? Their money's making money. They could just sit on money, right? They ain't gonna worry about any of that stuff. The average person needs to worry about it because they can't make money. So therefore cannot provide for themselves, right? So what's gonna happen? You will be forced onto, UBI, Universal Basic Income, which they're trying to bring in. All right, and to access all these things, you're gonna need to be verified and certified and chipified, right? You're gonna need to take the MOTB to receive these goodies or benefits, right, in this new system, right? It's a way to put pressure on people, right? That's only what it is, right? All this technology to take away power that you have or the abilities for you to work and get paid and stuff, man. AI's development does come with understandable and valid concerns, Gates wrote in 2023. So today's top-of-the-line AI programs are rife with errors and prone to enabling the spread of forces online. Right? Whatever. All right, so that's pretty much the article that I want to bring out. Let's get the scriptures down, right? This is Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 4, or verse 3, right? So in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, right? The grinders represent the workers, right? The workers are going to cease because they're going to be all out of the job, right? They're all going to be pretty much out of the job, man. Okay, you go into your supermarkets these days, man. There's less and less people on the checkout, but there's more and more, these self-serve kiosks, these terminals, right? And they're watching you. They got the cameras and all that kind of stuff. You scan the food and all that business, right? They don't need people, and a basic job where you don't need like a proper education to do, right? that means if you can't even get the basic jobs, what jobs is there for everybody else to get? You're gonna need some super duper education, man, to have one of these jobs that quote unquote won't be replaced or whatever the case may be. But like I said, even those jobs, can ultimately be done. It just just takes time, right? But not everybody can be a technician or coder. You know what I mean? It's just not possible, right? There's gonna be people with low qualifications or whatever that need low quality jobs, so to speak, right? The simple jobs. But the simple jobs have all been replaced. So what do these people do? What can they do? Not a lot, right? The doors shall be shut in the streets. Oh, it's like I didn't finish the top one, right? It says, strong men shall bow themselves and the grinders cease because they are few workers, right? And those that look out the window be darkened. And the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grind is low. Okay, those are the foreclosures, all the, bankruptcies and, these local businesses, closing up shop because they can't afford to, run their business anymore. Because if expenses is going up, they're continuously being outcompeted, because these global corporations, and they got advantages over these little businesses. Right? So it makes it difficult for these little companies to compete and often get eaten up, get bought out by these bigger businesses. So they end up shutting shop. And they shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Right? So that's the future, right? There's no version of the future where this is all gonna turn around the world and make everything great for everybody. There's no version of that exists. All right. This is Isaiah 19 and 14. The Lord have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. Right. So again, this situation that's going to develop out of all this is not one of benefit. Right. It's not going to benefit the common person. The only people it's going to benefit is the elites, because everything's cheaper for them to run now. And they ain't got to worry about paying you. They ain't got to worry about paying you sick pay. They ain't got to worry about paying you holiday pay. They ain't got to worry about national insurance contributions and all this fucking bullshit. Because they got robots now. They ain't got no national insurance number, social security numbers. They ain't got that. They ain't got to pay that, right? So they ain't got to worry about none of that stuff, which costs them money, which means they get to get bigger profits, and that's all they care about. More power, more wealth, because they want to suck this world dry, man. Okay, and this technology is a way to do that. All right. So again, so neither shall there be any work for Egypt which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. All right. This is Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. It says, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth you have but a short time. Esau's ready to wrap this shit up, man, and to press his reset button on this place. Right? He doesn't care about the casualties. He don't care about what it's going to do for you, to you, what it means to you. He don't care about what it means to you. Okay, he only care about his mission. Okay, what it means to him. Right? Because there's going to be casualties, man. There's a big casualties in this thing. After he does what he does. Because look what he's doing. He's looking to crash the economy. He's looking to set up a World War III. He's looking to get everybody to see it, man. There's going to be whole lot of casualties, man. And he don't care. As far as he's concerned, he on the mission to establish his own order, his new order. He doesn't care who the collateral. Like I said, by his own admission, but like people like Mr. Gates, man, there's too many people on the planet. So that's a good thing. He's doing the world a favor. As far as he's concerned. So you're gonna come with that wrath, man. You don't care who's gonna fall. Who's gonna be felled by it. Acceptable losses. Okay. This is Daniel chapter 12, verse 1 says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation. Esau going to bring a whole lot of fucking trouble, man. Whole lot of problems. Okay, that you people are going to have to deal with. Right? The elites, like I said, they're living in a different world, man. They're like untouchable from the things that they be doing, right? Because they live out of sight. You know, they ain't where everybody else is. They ain't going to war. You know what I mean? They ain't worrying about inflation going up. They're not concerned about these things. They live in a whole different place to everybody else. Like I said, they're on Elysium, essentially. Right? These things are not affecting them. Okay, but it's going to affect everybody else. All right? So yeah, they're going to set up this trouble, and they're gonna be watching. They're going to be watching it unfold, you know? So yeah, so there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book, right? So the elect of Israel, okay, we have hope of deliverance out of this hell, this chaos that, you know, these elites are pushing for, you know? Because like I said, the future under them, it doesn't look good for everybody. Okay, it isn't good for everybody. In Revelation chapter 3, verse 10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will keep thee from the hour of temptation. Right? Because when that hour of temptation comes, when Esau starts handing sea hips out like candy, right, for you to get your UBIs, your benefits, right, to get your rationings, right, because the world is in such a, you know, in so much chaos, right, and there is no other real way to get what you need, right. You're going to give into this temptation to accept this mark that he's, you know, basically offering, right, because you don't have no faith in Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. You don't believe in another way. All right, so you're going to trust in Esau. You're going to trust in this new system. You're going to trust in what he's offering, right? And this is going to lead to your condemnation. All right, but the elect, they're going to refuse Esau's mark, okay, the beast mark, right, and put their trust and faith in Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. So, you know, we have hope of deliverance from this craziness that Esau's, you know, he's bringing upon the earth. All right, we don't want the future that he's offering. You know. See, behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou has, that no man take thy crown. Right? Because basically, if you take the MLTV in that day, man, you're giving up your crown, essentially. Right? Realistically, it means you wasn't of the elect, so you never had no crown to begin with. But you know, if you're in this thing, man, you are ride it out to the end. Don't be deceived by Satan. The moment you get deceived by Satan and you take his mark, man, you've lost, man. You've lost. You just give up. You've just given up. You know? And you were so close to the end. It's Revelation 13 and 15 said, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed, right? So, like I mentioned before, if you're one of those that don't agree or don't want to, you know, accept the terms that Esau's offering, okay, he's not going to have no problems or no issues, you know, deleting people, right? He hasn't got time to argue with food, with cattle. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how they look at us, Goyim, or his people. He looks at them as Goyim, useless eaters, right? Because you're not productive enough. Like, so what you do is complain. What you want is pay rises. You complain about, you know, the fact that you can't afford, you know, decent quality food, and you know, and they're so detached. They don't give a shit about common people's plights, man, because they live in luxury, and it's like for us complaining is like a disrespect to them. We've given you all these things, you know what I mean? Giving us what? The ability to survive, like just to struggle. But you got the ability to lessen everybody's burden, but you won't. All you're doing is crushing the poor continuously. You know. So yeah, anybody doesn't want to accept the terms, man, Esau can get rid of. And so he wants less people on the planet anyway. And since you're not a productive member of society, because we ain't got a job for you, right? There's nothing you can contribute to society. What are you here for? We're just wasting resources on what? What are you? Don't do shit. You just sit home in the fucking metaverse. You know? Nah, you can go. You don't want to get down. You can go. Um, it says verse 16, and he calls it all, while small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or on their foreheads. Right. So that's what Esau's leading. This is all leading up to that. Right. So that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark. Right. So you're gonna need this mark, this C hip, to make these transactions, man. Right. You're gonna need it to make these transactions. Right. And that's why he's resetting this economy. Right? It's not gonna be cash based, or it's increasingly digital, but there's gonna be no more cash in it no more. Right? And you need to be verified and hooked up, right, to be able to move this digital currency, these CBDCs, through the blockchain and that. You're gonna need to be, certified, verified, right? And so they're gonna give everybody a CHIP to do that. Otherwise, you're not a part of this new order. All right. I'm going to close out with this. Is from 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 14. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Right. So, like I said, there's going to be a whole bunch of chaos, because Esau is bringing this world down to its knees. Right. It's going to affect all the people. All right. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, they shall not regard their kings or princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Right. So people are going to lose their minds, man, and start, running through each other's houses, looking for, food and water, things to survive on. Okay, while all this chaos is happening, because they can't afford food or they can't get access to food, right? So people are going to turn on one another, right? And they're not going to, listen to their governments and the authorities, So the man should desire to go into a city and should not be able, right? So because of all this craziness, man, the cities are going to be locked down. Cities are going to be locked down, man. So you're not going to be able to just move freely. So because of their pride, and the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. It's going to be a terrible time. And a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulations. Right? People do crazy things when they're starving. When they're hungry, they got families to feed and shit. But they're all wondering how they're gonna get their next meal. Right? And so you got a couple options. Right? You either sign up, you go queue or whatever, you go sign up and get Esau's mark, and he can potentially provide you with food and medical stuff and water and whatever. Right? That's one option, right? Which most people are gonna feel like, that's more or less guaranteed, but it's not gonna be. Esau gonna say like, everybody can get their fair share or whatever, but Esau's not gonna be held to that, right? There's gonna be people that get nothing, right? So you're gonna take the chip and still get nothing, thinking that you did the smart thing, right? The other option is that you go get it yourself, right? You don't want to succumb to the demands of the government, be a what they call that, invasive procedures, right? So all this kind of business, right? So you want to go get it yourself, right? So you might target other people that might have things, So you gonna go break into houses and hold people at gunpoint or kill people in order to get things, right? And the other option is you just trust in Yahweh Shem Shai to provide for you in that time, right? They're the options you got during that time of the lack of bread, with lack of food, right? But that's what's going to be going on, and it's not going to be a pretty sight. Okay, the world, these communities or whatever, these cities as you know them now, they're not going to be operating in the same way. It's going to look very different to how it looks right now. It's going to be a very scary place. All right. So the man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. All right. So we're heading into that time of great tribulation, and like I said, all this is playing into these problems. The fact that people are not needed anymore, right? People are not needed anymore, and people are going to be left with nothing. And when people get left with nothing, man, they lose their shit. As as Joe Salete, said way back, when people have nothing, or when people lose everything, how's that quote? How did he quote that, man? They lose it. When they have nothing to lose, they lose it. Because they're just gonna say fuck it, man. And these governments are not helping us. We're gonna do, we're gonna get it ourselves, man. So you're gonna take our arms and whatever and do what you gotta do. So this world's gonna be in turmoil and chaos, man, because of things like this. The way Esau's moving. But like I said, these people don't give a shit, man, because these men are all right. They ain't got to worry about that. The man got security and private armies and all that type of shit. Islands, they just fucking, they got an island somewhere they just go fucking sit on. While the common people are eating each other. well, that's gonna be a thing too. Cannibalism, But while these people are fighting each other, these elites, they're gonna be, these super elites, they're gonna be all right where they are. They got bunkers, they got all kinds of shit, man. They're not exposed to the same problems as everybody else because they got money to defend themselves with. But you're taking everybody's money away, so there's no defense. And these men ain't got no faith, so they ain't got no defenses whatsoever. But yeah, I'm gonna end it there. Lord, when it's been fine, and I'll catch you brothers and sisters on the next video. Till next time, I say shalom.